how to pay for law school and how I dealt with my over $160,000 debt. Scholarships are the #1 way to get basically free money when the last resort obviously is to take out student loan. Should I consolidate my loan? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll be talking all about how to pay for law school and how I dealt with my over $160,000 debt from law school loans. And if you're interested, then keep on watching. So something that's on a lot of people's minds about law school is how much it's going to cost. As with any college or undergrad degree or graduate degree, you're going to have to pay money, and if you don't have enough savings or your parents aren't willing to help you out or you just don't have the money to pay for school, then you're going to have to take out loans. And loans are scary. They're something that not everyone, and I certainly didn't understand when I took them out. If you do a little bit of research into it, then you'll understand a little bit more about what student loans are and how you can best repay them after law school. In the beginning of my video, I'm basically going to be talking about a few tips and tricks and things that I would do if I were in law school or before law school in order to pay for law school if you're not working. My first tip, of course, is to get scholarships. I know I talked about this in my how to get into law school video, but scholarships are the #1 way to get basically free money to go to a school and get a law degree. And that way when you come out of law school, you don't have to worry about law school debt, or if you have a little bit of debt, it's not going to be as big as my debt. Obviously, I did not get any scholarships from Chapman, the school that I went to, but if you're debating between going to a school that's higher ranked that didn't give you any money or a school that's lower ranked that gave you money, I would really weigh both options equally. If the schools are both not in the top tier and they're in somewhere in the middle and maybe the difference is 10 placement rankings, it's probably worth it to go to the lower ranked school because you're going to get more money. And honestly, you're probably going to get the same amount of education, and if you pass the bar exam, you're still going to get a good job. So I would say really think about the options, and if it's almost equal, I would go with the one that gives you more money. When you have scholarships, it's just so much easier because it's money that you don't have to worry about repaying later. Another tip for those of you that aren't even in law school yet is to really study hard for your LSAT and get a good GPA so that schools will give you money, and schools that you want to go to will give you money, because scholarships are hard to come by and a lot of them are based on academics. So try your best so that you can get a good scholarship and you don't have to worry about repaying any loans. Obviously, not everyone is as smart or not everyone is able to get a scholarship. So my second tip is to take out student loans. Don't be scared about taking out student loans because although they are annoying and although they have high interest rates, it's something necessary. You obviously are choosing to go to law school or go to grad school, so you have to take out money. If you can take a personal loan from a family member, if your parents can help you pay, if you can save up money during undergrad so that you can pay for school, then that would be great. But if you can't do these things, then the last resort obviously is to take out student loans. The way student loans work is that you would fill out, or at least for me in California, you'd fill out a FAFSA, and this, you put down all your information and it'll decide if they should give any need-based money. This would be money similar to a scholarship, but it's because you don't make enough or your family doesn't make enough, they're willing to give you money that you don't have to pay back. Then the rest of it would be either subsidized or unsubsidized loans. And the difference between the two is that subsidized loans, the interest is paid by the government during school or in deferment, versus unsubsidized loans, the government is not paying your interest. And unlike some misconceptions, you actually do accrue interest while you're in law school. So although you think you're just borrowing the money and you don't start accruing until after law school or when you start paying, that's not true. You are paying interest while you're in law school, and it does add up in the end. Law school can cost anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year. When I went to Chapman, it was $41,000 a year, and I believe now it's almost $51,000 a year. So think about that times 3. You're gonna need to take out a lot of money. So for me, I had to take out about $123,000 just for tuition alone. However, if you are not living at home or if you have other expenses, then obviously this is not enough. You're gonna need living expenses because generally 1Ls do not work. And when I was in law school, they had this rule that you can't work more than 20 hours a week, and I think Chapman even made us sign something saying that we wouldn't work at all during our 1L years, because I think they understand that 1L, and you should understand this too, is very difficult, and like I've said throughout all my videos, it's a pretty high learning curve. You have to understand how to approach law school exams, how to read cases, how to brief cases. It's not easy, and they think that if you have a job, which I agree, you're going to be distracted. You're not going to be able to put in the full time and amount that you need in order to study and do well in law school. If you have great time management, if you're able to section off when you need to study, when you need to go to class, and then when you work, then by all means go for it if you really need the money. If you can afford not to work during your 1L year, I would highly recommend it. So obviously I needed to take extra money out in order to pay for my rent, my utilities, groceries, and so whatever you can do to live on a strict budget and take out the minimum amount possible, I would do that, because remember, you're going to be paying interest on all this money and you're going to have to pay it back when you graduate, and it's not going to be fun. And I didn't think about this when I was going into law school. I thought I would just take out a bunch of money so that I can live a decent life during law school, and then I would worry about it later. But now looking back, I probably could have shaved off a good $10,000 total. So after you fill out the FAFSA and other forms, you'll get information about what loans you got, if they're subsidized or if they're unsubsidized, and their interest rates. And you'll notice that each interest rate is different. Mine ranged from 5.6 to 7.6%, and some might be higher for you guys. Interest rates are not, I don't think interest rates are that good for student loans right now. But basically, they give you certain amounts that you have to pay back. So you might have a total of 5 loans equaling the amount that you want. And each loan is a different amount, each loan has a different interest rate, so really pay attention to how much you have. During law school, you don't have to repay any of this money, and there's a grace period about 6 months after you graduate where you don't have to repay before you start repaying. My third tip is to get a summer job. For most law students, the summer after their 1L year is a time to get their summer internships or summer jobs. For me, I was able to get a job that paid, and so I would highly recommend getting a paid summer job, because not only do you get money, but you're getting experience. And I got paid about $15 an hour. I think during the summer I worked more than 20 hours, maybe 25 to 30 hours a week. And then during the school year, I worked for the same law firm, but only worked 20 hours a week. And this is actually pretty doable in your 2L and 3L years, because you're already used to law school, or you're more used to it, and you can study better, and your classes are more spread out. You choose your own classes. And so the way I scheduled my classes and my work schedule out, I was basically in class or at work from 8 to 6 p.m., either class in the morning and then work in the afternoon, or work in the morning and then classes in the afternoon. So this was helpful because I basically was working or going to school during the day, and then when I got home from work or got home from school, I would just study. So I would really recommend doing this schedule if you are good at keeping track of what homework and assignments you need to do and what readings you need to do, and also being able to go to work and make money so that you don't have to take out extra loans other than what you need for your tuition. However, I would discourage anyone from working more than 20 hours a week during your 2L and 3L school years, because you still have a lot of studying to do and you still have the bar you're sort of prepping for. And like I said in my how to prep for the bar exam video, I wouldn't work during the months before your bar exam, because that's a really important time and you don't want to take any chances. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about the $160,000 debt that I had when I graduated from law school. So like I said, I took out 3 years worth of money for tuition plus extra expenses. And due to the interest that I was accruing during law school, my total when I graduated was about $160,000, which is a pretty crazy amount if you think about it. I did wait the 6 months before paying off any of it, and I would recommend, if you are able to pay it off, start paying it off right away, because you don't want more interest to accrue. And the way student loans work is that you generally pay interest during the first few years, possibly 5 years, and then you start paying the actual principal down. And during that time, you're still accruing more and more interest. So it is very difficult to pay it all off. There are also different repayment options. Contact your financial aid office at school or go to your Fed loan website to understand the different repayment options. But there's the standard, which repays over 10 years and you pay a fixed price. There's graduated, which is what I did in the beginning, where you pay lower and then every 2 years it increases. However, you don't quite know how much it'll increase by. So by the end, I think I would have been paying around $3,000 or so a month, and this is over 10 years. Or there are other ones like income-based, where based on your income, if you don't make as much in the beginning, then you don't pay as much. And then as your income increases, you pay more and more over possibly 20 to 25 years. For me, I knew I just wanted to get it done in 10 years, so I did the graduated payments. And it was fine because I didn't make that much money, as you guys know, in the beginning, so it was okay. But then I started thinking about, should I consolidate my loan? And consolidating your loan is probably something you may have heard about or seen advertisements for, but basically these companies buy your loan and then you repay them at a lower interest rate, at a fixed interest rate. As I mentioned before, your interest rates will vary. So for some of my loans, my interest rate was 5%. For some of my loans, it was up to 7%. But when you go with a company, your interest rate might be the average of all of those, but it's one fixed interest rate. So we did a lot of research, and I would really recommend going to studentloanhero.com. I'll leave all the links below. But basically, you can read articles about which companies and which banks are good for student loans. There's ones like SoFi, Laurel Road, Earnest, and lastly, First Republic. And no, this is not sponsored or anything, but my friend actually told us about First Republic and how they had really good interest rates. And we were able to get a 2.5% interest rate for my student loan. And think about how crazy that is, because my lowest interest rate was 5.6% or something like that, and I'm only paying 2.5% across all of the money that I owe, except that instead of paying the government, I am now paying First Republic. And there's other things like you have to have direct deposit, you have to open up a checking account with them, but they're all easy in order to get this 2.5% for the 7 years left on my loan, because I already paid 3 years through the government. If you want to know how much money you might save, go to studentloanhero.com and you can click the link below where you can do a calculation about what your current interest rate is and what your proposed interest rate will be. So when you contact these companies, you basically give them a bunch of information where you give them information about your loan, how much money you owe, how much money you make, your assets. You're going to fill out a lot of information, and then they do the calculation and give you what the interest rate will be. And the interest rates will vary based on how the market's doing, what your loan looks like, how much money you make, even your credit score. So don't think that you're going to get the same rate as I did, because it varies over person to person. By going with First Republic versus some of the other companies out there, I saved a total of $15,000 by doing the 2.5% rate, whereas the other places were around 4 to 5%. Also, just in general, if I had not consolidated my loans, then I would be paying $20,000 more than what I am paying now, if that makes sense. So I saved a total of $20,000 by consolidating my loan, which is crazy. That's like almost the cost of a car. So obviously, don't just take my word for it. Do your own research, read the articles, talk to your financial advisors or your parents or people that you trust to know about how to deal with money, and see if consolidating is for you. I honestly didn't think it was for me at first, and I thought, well, student loans are student loans, and who knows what might happen. A different president might come in and say all student loan debt is forgiven, and then at that point, why did I consolidate? But I knew at that rate, if I was saving that much money and I could get it still done in 10 total years, then why wouldn't I do it? So that's all the information that I have about how I was able to work on my $160,000 debt, and of course I'm still paying it off. I think I'm only in my 4th year or so, and I just consolidated about a few months ago, so obviously I still have a ways to go, and it is a monthly payment. It's annoying, but it's something that you have to deal with. If you don't care about paying it off over 10 years, and of course you can stretch it out and you would pay less per month, but I just wanted to get it over with. And it really depends on your finances. Can you afford to pay off more in the beginning, or do the standard repayment where you only have one amount? Can your parents help you? Really look into all the options. Taking out debt is not fun, especially for going to law school where you may not think it's worth it, and you may not be getting that good of a paying job afterwards to pay for your student loan. This is the path that you chose in order to go to law school or to go to grad school, so you kind of have to live with it. If you have any questions about how I consolidated, or questions about scholarships, what you should do, financial aid, go ahead and comment below and let me know your questions. I'll try my best to answer them. I'm in no way an expert, and there's a lot of things I still don't understand, but I'll try my best to answer for you guys. As usual, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I hope you guys are enjoying this Life as a Lawyer series. I have a lot of more interesting videos, not only about being a lawyer, but food videos, vlogs, travel guides, all kinds of things for you guys. So subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.